Hey there, welcome to my little corner of storytelling. Let's dive right into what I've got for you today. I reckon every fella out there has that one split second where it hits him, something's gone off the rails. For me, that moment crashed down on a Saturday night at some party I didn't even want to drag myself to. My wife, Ariadne, wouldn't let it go, though. She was dead set on us making an appearance. It was Seraphina's birthday bash, one of Ariadne's buddies from her office gig. While Ariadne primped and preened for a solid hour, she kept hassling me about which shirt didn't scream, dull as dirt. Looking back, that little spat should have tipped me off something was brewing. Anyway, we got there, and the place was a madhouse, loud as all get out, crammed with folks I hardly recognized. Every hand clutched a drink, and people were busting a gut over the lamest jokes you've ever heard. Then Seraphina, the birthday gal, figured we needed to shake things up a bit. She hollered for a round of truth or dare, like we're still in middle school or something. I thought it was dumb, but we rolled with it anyway. It was meant to be a good laugh, nothing serious. That is, until Seraphina, half-lit and sporting a sloppy grin, swung her finger toward Ariadne and said, "Okay, your go. Truth time. If you could trade Theodore in for somebody else, who's the lucky guy?" The room cracked up, everybody waiting for her to drop a zinger. Me. I just sat there, holding my breath for the punchline too. Ariadne flashed this big, toothy smile, flicked her hair back all dramatic-like, and chirped, "Trade him. Piece of cake. I'd pick Caspian from spin class, he actually gives a damn what I say." The whole table lost it. Some clown knocked over his drink, Seraphina was howling like a wild animal, and I plastered on a fake chuckle. That's what you do when your wife cuts you down in front of 20 strangers, you act like it's hilarious, even if it stings like hell. Ariadne shot me a wink, playing it off like it was no big deal, just a goofy jab. I choked down the words I really wanted to spit out and raised my glass instead. Here's to eating crow, right? The rest of the night turned into a hazy mess of noise and chatter. Ariadne kept tossing back drinks, giggling up a storm with Caspian, who, surprise, strolled in halfway through the shindig. Watching her next to him, she looked more alive than she'd been with me in forever. There I was, clutching my drink, trying to figure out when I'd turned into the butt of my own life's joke. Later, driving home, the quiet in the car weighed a ton, way heavier than any blowout fight we'd ever had. I gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles throbbed. Ariadne. She just scrolled through her phone, humming some tune like the night hadn't just flipped our world upside down. That's when it sank in, something between us had cracked, and there was no fixing it. We pulled into the garage, the door rumbling shut behind us. She hopped out first, kicking off her heels before she even hit the porch steps. I trailed behind, taking my sweet time. Inside, she chucked her purse on the counter and made a beeline for the fridge, snagging a water bottle like she hadn't just torched my pride in front of a crowd. "You're pissed," she tossed out, not even bothering to look my way. I propped myself against the doorway. "Nah, not pissed. Just wondering when I turned into a laughingstock." She let out this little huff of a laugh. "Oh, come off it, Theodore. It was a stupid game. Quit acting like a kid." I stood there, watching her twist the cap off that bottle, all casual-like, brushing it off as if it was nothing. "You went with Caspian," I said, keeping it simple. She shrugged it off. "So what? It didn't mean anything." "You sure about that?" I pressed. Finally, she spun around to face me. "For real? You're gonna blow this up into some big drama? Lord, Theodore, you've been checked out of this marriage for months. Maybe if you gave me a shred of attention now and then, I wouldn't even joke about another guy." Boom, there it was, the first real gut punch. I folded my arms, keeping my tone steady. "You've been texting him, haven't you?" Her face twitched, just a flicker, but I caught it. "Yeah, so what if I have?" she fired back. "It's not like you'd notice." Half the time, you don't even see me standing right in front of you. I stepped closer, peeling myself off the door frame. Guess I didn't. Not till tonight hit me like a freight train. She slammed the water bottle down harder than she meant to. You're making this way bigger than it is. Caspian's just a buddy, nothing more. I didn't say a word, just stared at her. That silence made her squirm more than if I'd yelled. We're just bored, Theodore, she said, her voice dropping softer. Every couple goes through a dry spell. This ain't no dry spell, I shot back. You're just hunting for a way out, I said. Ariadne's jaw dropped like she was ready to fire back, but nothing came out of her mouth. Instead, she spun around, suddenly real interested in fiddling with a stack of junk mail or nudging a vase into perfect alignment, anything to avoid looking at me. I didn't have another word to say, so I just headed upstairs and left her to it. Come morning, I rolled over and felt her side of the bed, stone cold. That's when it hit me, we weren't just bored. Something between us was shattered for good. 3 days dragged by, and Ariadne and I barely swapped a sentence. We shuffled through the house like a couple of ghosts, tossing out quick words about milk or the electric bill, acting like everything was peachy when we both knew it was anything but. Thursday rolled around, and I got home from work earlier than usual. Ariadne was upstairs, probably dolling herself up to head out again. I checked my keys on the counter and noticed her phone sitting there by her purse. She must have just breezed in and dumped her stuff, same as always. I ain't proud of what I did next. But with the house all quiet and her upstairs, curiosity got the better of me. I snatched up her phone. Right there on the lock screen, a message from Caspian glowed, "Today was awesome. Already miss ya." I didn't bother unlocking it. That one line screamed everything I'd been too chicken shit to say out loud. A few minutes later, Ariadne came clomping down the stairs, messing with her earrings. She stopped dead when she saw me parked at the kitchen table, her phone in my grip. Her smile vanished fast. "What's this about?" she asked, voice sharp. "Just sitting here," I said. "Waiting. For what, exactly?" I slid the phone across the table toward her like it was a hot potato. "For you to come clean." She stared at the phone, then at me, before crossing her arms tight like she was bracing for a fight. "You're acting paranoid," she said. I cocked an eyebrow. "Am I, though?" She shifted her weight, getting all defensive. "I'm allowed to have people in my life, you know. People who are already missing you." I shot back. She paused, then muttered, "All right, fine." We grabbed lunch. I didn't even blink. "You and Caspian?" "Yeah, Theodore, with Caspian," she snapped. "He actually hears me out. He notices I exist." I leaned back in my chair, my heart hammering but my face staying cool. "Then go get noticed." Her eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" "You've already picked your side," I said. "I'm just calling it like it is." She looked at me like I'd hauled off and smacked her. "You're ready to torch our marriage over a couple of texts," she said, her voice climbing. "Nope," I said, steady as a rock. "That was all you." For a second, I thought she might break down and cry. But Ariadne's got too much pride for tears. She squared her shoulders and said, "Fine then. Maybe I oughta walk out." I gave her a single nod. "Maybe you should." She scooped up her phone, her bag, her keys. No begging, no, I'm sorry, just pure, razor-sharp anger. When she slammed the door, the whole house rattled. I sat there, staring at the empty doorway, the quiet creeping back in. And here's the kicker, for the first time in ages, I realized something that scared the hell out of me. I didn't miss her one bit. She didn't come home that night. Part of me wishes I could say I stayed up fretting, wondering if I'd screwed it all up. Truth is, I slept like a baby, better than I had in months. Next morning, the world outside looked the same as ever, gray, chilly. But inside me, something had changed. Like a weight I'd been hauling around forever had finally dropped off. I brewed some coffee, toasted a bagel, and plopped down at the kitchen table with my phone, staring at her name in my contacts. I didn't hit call. Instead, I got up, grabbed some old boxes from the garage, and started packing up her stuff. Shirts, shoes, all that bathroom crap she hadn't touched in who knows how long. I filled one box, then another, stacking them neat by the door, slow and steady, no second thoughts. I was halfway through when Ariadne's car screeched into the driveway. She barged in like she still ran the show. "What in the hell are you doing?" she barked. I stood up, brushing my hands on my jeans. "Giving you what you wanted. You can't just box up my stuff like that," she snapped. "You walked out," I said, calm as could be. "I'm just tying up loose ends." Her eyes flicked around, landing on the half-packed boxes scattered across the room. "This is nuts, Theodore. You're acting small-minded," she said. "Nah," I shot back, "I'm just laying it out plain." She started to argue, mouth opening, but then she clammed up. For a long beat, she stared at me, and for the first time, I saw her tough shell crack just a hair. "Theodore, we can patch this up," she said, voice softer. I shook my head slow. "You don't mend something by treating it like trash you can toss anytime." Right then, a flash of panic darted across her face. She took one step back, then another, before spinning around, slamming the door, and peeling out of the driveway. I stood there in the hush, boxes all around me, feeling like a weight I'd carried forever had finally slipped off my shoulders. Every time I opened my mouth to answer her, I handed her the reins again, and I was done playing that game. One night, I rolled in late from work and there she was, perched on the porch steps. Mascara streaked down her face, hair yanked back like she hadn't bothered with a mirror in days. She scrambled to her feet when she spotted me. "Theodore, please," she said, "don't go through with this." I brushed past her, stuck my key in the lock. "You've gotta go." She trailed me inside anyway. "We're not finished. I know you're hurting, I get it. But we can still make this right." I tossed my keys on the counter with a clatter. "Yeah, I was hurting. Now I'm just worn out." "You're being pig-headed," she snapped, her tone sharp again. "One slip up and you're ready to wipe out everything we had." I turned, really taking her in. "It wasn't just one slip, Ariadne. It was every choice you made after that, the way you snickered at me when you thought I wouldn't notice, the texts you fired off to him, how you shrank me down without a second thought." She tried to argue, lips parting, but nothing came out this time. I grabbed the folder off the counter and held it out to her. "What's this?" she asked, her voice barely there. "Divorce papers," I said flat out. Her hands trembled as she took it from me. "This isn't who you are," she whispered. I shook my head again. "No, it's not who you are anymore either." She stood there a moment, clutching the folder, eyes glued to the floor. Then she set it down on the table, slow and deliberate. When she finally looked up, her face was ice. "You're screwing up big time," she said. "Could be," I replied, "but it's my call to make." She slung her bag over her shoulder, didn't say another word, and walked out. This time, I didn't bother watching her go. I shut the door, turned the lock, not to block her out, but to keep myself steady. After she left, the house felt different. Quieter, yeah, but not hollow. It was like the air got lighter, like I could suck in a full breath again. Days rolled by, and I settled into the stillness quicker than I figured I would. One evening, I was out on the back porch, nursing a beer, watching the sun spill red and gold across the sky. My phone buzzed on the table, Ariadne again. "I miss you. Please, Theodore." I stared at that screen for a good minute. Then I switched the damn thing off and set it aside. It wasn't anger driving me anymore, or sorrow, or even regret. It was just over. A week stretched into a month. The lawyer called, divorce papers were done. I signed them without a second's pause. Seraphina popped up once too, texting some half-baked apology for Ariadne. I left it on read. The real kicker wasn't what I'd lost, it was how little I cared that it was gone. I started jogging again, signed up for a woodworking class, even took a solo weekend trip up to the mountains, something Ariadne would have rolled her eyes at and called pathetic. It wasn't pathetic. It was the first time in years I felt like I could breathe free and easy. Every once in a while, my mind wandered back to Ariadne, to how her laugh used to sound when she wasn't putting on a show, or the way she'd tuck herself against me without needing to say a thing. But then I'd see that cold glare she gave me that night on the porch, the way she picked someone else and played it off like it was no big deal. Some lines you don't cross back over, some bridges you just don't cross back over. 6 months down the road, I was parked at a new coffee joint downtown when I caught sight of her, Ariadne. She looked worn down, skinnier than I remembered, like life had landed a few sucker punches. She didn't notice me sitting there. Too wrapped up in a heated phone spat, she paced outside, arms swinging wild like she was fighting the air itself. I took a slow sip of my coffee, watching her through the glass, and felt nothing. No bitterness, no heartache, no what-ifs, just a big, empty space between us. I settled up my tab and slipped out the side exit so she wouldn't clock me. Later that night, Seraphina pinged me again, still acting like she owed me something for choosing teams way back when. Her text said Ariadne was shacked up with Caspian now, that it was a train wreck, and she seemed downright wretched. I stared at the words for a sec, then trashed the message without typing a reply. I didn't need the play-by-play. I wasn't wishing for her to crash and burn, I wasn't wishing anything about her at all. I'd clocked out of that whole circus. Back at my place that night, a house that finally felt like mine, stuffed with stuff I actually liked and a quiet I'd come to crave, I let my mind drift back to that party at Seraphina's. That dumb joke, the way everything I thought was rock solid crumbled in a heartbeat, and how losing it turned out to be the best damn thing that could have happened. Because here's the straight-up truth, Ariadne didn't shatter me. She just held up a mirror to what I'd been too bullheaded to notice on my own. I used to figure love meant sticking it out, no matter how bad it got, gritting my teeth through the pain, brushing off every jab, pretending the bruises didn't sting. Now I've wised up. Love's supposed to be something you chase after with a grin, not a battlefield you limp away from. Before hitting the sack, I gave my phone a quick glance. No new texts, no missed calls. Perfect. I flicked off the lamp, eased back into the pillows, and let a little grin sneak across my face. For the first time in forever, I wasn't holding my breath for anybody. Everything I needed was already right here with me. And if Ariadne ever sat around wondering what finally snapped me, what pushed me to walk away for good, she'd never get it. It wasn't some grand, dramatic stab in the back. It was a slow bleed from 1,000 little nicks she didn't even think I'd notice, until one day, I did. By then, I wasn't hers to carve up anymore. Thanks for sticking around to hear me out.